Welcome to Legal Meets, a look at legal beyond the law, a podcast by Legaler. On this episode of Legal Meets, we meet Lachlan McKnight, CEO of LegalVision, Australia's fastest growing online law firm using technology to help growing businesses. Good morning, Lachlan.
Morning.
Thanks for joining us on Legal Meets, where we take a look at legal beyond the law. We spent last week in San Francisco, and it's nice to have some homegrown talent this week. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Mate, we've heard everything about LegalVision recently, being called everything from an online law firm to a legal disruptor, and also thrown into the new law category. Especially for our less familiar overseas listeners, how would you best describe what LegalVision is and what makes it unique?
Sure. So we're a legal services business that provides solutions to SMEs and enterprise clients. Now, for overseas listeners, I guess the important thing to understand about the Australian legal market is we have a concept of an incorporated legal practice. And an incorporated legal practice allows a company to provide legal services. That means that you can raise capital, you can have outside investors, so on and so forth, who can invest in a law firm. And so it's a very different structure to what's allowed, for instance, in the US. What that means for us is we can basically build technology, we can focus on growth, we can look at lifetime value as opposed to really short-term needs, and it means that we can run the business like a tech startup rather than a traditional law firm. On the other hand, we do provide legal services. We are a law firm. We are regulated by the New South Wales Law Society. Unlike I guess other businesses that are more marketplace style businesses, we do stand behind our product, our service. We're fully regulated. We have $20 million worth of insurance coverage. So customers who come to us know that they're basically getting the full service law firm experience, but at a fixed price, at a more cost effective price, and with a more kind of tech angle of what we're doing.
Brilliant. Sounds very cutting edge. Do you think I guess the UK has already approved alternative business models? Do you think that's going to be the future? Do you think there's going to be business partners, investors that aren't from the legal realm kind of coming to the forefront of legal innovation and working together with the legal world to actually provide better legal services?
Yeah, sure. I think so. I mean, the big problem that traditional law firms have is they're structured as partnerships. Now, the partnership model and many partners sort of moving between firms, it means there's no sort of long-term incentive to invest in the business, to build technology, to invest in systems and processes and structures, because really what the partners are looking for is to extract as much value every year out of the business as they can. So there's really nothing left to invest. Traditional law firms don't actually have balance sheets per se. The incorporated legal practice structure in Australia, the ABS structure in the UK, allow for longer term investment in legal services businesses, and that's certainly, I think, where the market is going, because if you want to be able to provide a real tech solution, you need to be able to invest in, for instance, hiring developers. You need to be able to invest in, bringing on board customers who may not generate a profit for quite a period of time, but you have to kind of be willing to do that in order to grow. So, yeah.
Well, it's a pretty good segue to your exit from the corporate world, I guess, leaving the traditional partnership model behind. So in your former life as a corporate lawyer, you've worked everywhere from Amsterdam to London to Paris and even Hong Kong. How did you initially end up abroad, and which city, I guess, being a lawyer in so many different jurisdictions, which actual city kind of did you take to the most with your legal kind of profession?
Yeah, sure. I went overseas after finishing uni. Just to have the kind of, I guess, overseas experience. Spent about 6 years overseas, 7 years overseas before coming back. Look, the great thing about all of those cities to work in, at least from a common law perspective, is all the work I was doing was pretty much English law. So, international commercial law is often English law. So you can get any of those places, get a job in a in a corporate law firm, and with an English practicing certificate and Australian practicing certificate, sometimes you can work at all those places and do relatively similar types of work. So then it's just down to where do you like living, I guess, and all those places are obviously fun places to spend a period of time. So yeah, they're all great.
I'd say you're well and truly enjoying being back home now.
Yeah, so it's eventually I guess you kind of have to decide where you want to live in the sort of the medium term, and so yeah, came back to Australia. Would have been maybe 4 or 5 years ago now, and happy to have moved back.
It's nice to have you home. So taking the leap from, I guess, a lawyer to entrepreneur, I'd say these days you're more entrepreneur than lawyer, although you're still wearing a legal hat. Was it a daunting transition initially? I guess most startups have to take that leap of faith at the start and be a little contrarian or slightly crazy or very crazy. And so taking that leap, what advice could you offer to anyone else, and what was the most difficult part for yourself?
Yeah, sure. I think it's important not to kind of overthink it too much. Lawyers are risk averse. That's sort of, it's built into you through law school, through working as a corporate lawyer. But the reality is, we're probably all going to have careers. Probably we'll be working till we're sort of 85 or whatnot. The way things are going, at least in Australia. So the thinking of I'm going to kind of miss out on 1 or 2 years of my corporate law career, if it doesn't work out, I've missed out on those years, is kind of a bit silly. I think, even if you do kind of launch a startup and it kind of fails, and you learn a lot from that, and I think it's probably, I don't know, but I think it's probably not that difficult to kind of go back into the corporate world. So I think a lot of people kind of fear that if they leave the kind of corporate law environment, they can't go back. I don't think that's necessarily true. And so the question then is, well, what do you have to lose? And what do you have to gain? And what you have to lose is a couple of years of salary. What you have to gain is a whole new experience. Obviously, potentially, hopefully your startup works out. But even if it doesn't, I think you're building some really valuable skills that probably make you a more valuable lawyer in the long run.
Yep, that's I think, like you hit it on the head. There's a certain set of skills that you take going into a startup, and there's a certain set of skills you walk away with that probably include everything under the sun. So I imagine that you're doing a lot of things now that you probably never imagined you'd be doing when you started your legal career. So which ones of those, I guess, are the hardest, I guess, coming into it as a lawyer? Which ones do you think are the most difficult?
I think the reality is running a business, it's not rocket science, So I think a lot of people, the mistake that they make when they want to sort of launch a startup and sort of start something in whatever space it may be, but the kind of startup space, is they think that they really need some sort of expert to do a lot of stuff, like SEO is a great example, or running an AdWords campaign, or just sales, all that sort of stuff. They think that they kind of need some sort of expert to help them with that. And actually, a lot of those things are not rocket science. If you're a lawyer, for instance, you're presumably not an idiot, and you do a bit of reading. You can teach yourself how to run an AdWords campaign really pretty quickly. Now, are you going to be the greatest search engine marketer in the world? Probably not. But what you will do is learn enough early on that when you eventually bring in someone to run your marketing for you, you know enough about it to not be bullshit.
Yeah.
And so I think, don't think that you need an expert necessarily at the start. Teach yourself a lot of things. Try and do everything yourself for as long as possible. And that really helps in the long run. So I've done pretty much everything in this business. So our client care team, which is our inside sales team, the team that kind of deal with all the inquiries that come through our website. And we have a team of 9 who do that now. And that's what I started doing. I was dealing with all the leads, and we had sort of 25, 30 leads. Up until 25, 30 leads, I was dealing with all the leads. So I have a pretty good understanding of how that works. And, it helps you in the long run when you have team members that have issues and so on and so forth, you can actually help them a lot more than you could if you kind of just outsource that from the get-go. Same with the marketing side of things. And same with, I guess, the legal side of things as well.
Yeah, so that's, I guess, an element of doing things that don't scale, because everyone gets a little carried away with the startup of thinking of world domination from day one. But like you said, I think you just need to roll up your sleeves and do it, get immersed in it, know enough that you know where your strengths are, and then, like you said, you bring in someone that's more attuned to kind of doing that in a specialised way. But at least you know what they're kind of offering you and where to guide them. So that's very good advice.
Yeah, exactly. And all this stuff, I mean, whether it scales or not, who cares at the end of the day? You're starting a business.
Make something good.
And make something good and make some sales, right? I mean, once you start making sales, you can go, right, we're going to make more sales, you start hiring people, so on and so forth. Quality
problems. So it seems that, you've got the work-life balance thing worked out. So 3 kids, 3 boys, is it?
Yes, 3 boys, yeah.
And married. And so how do you actually work that all into kind of growing a really fast, scaling kind of business? What's the secret to kind of that juggling act?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I worked as a corporate lawyer and then in investment banking after that before starting this. So, that's kind of the extreme. So anything other than that,
so this is an improvement, is it? In the work-life
to be frank, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, look, our 3rd son was born the month before we launched LegalVision. So, it's
so you had 2 babies at the same time.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look, I think it's actually been a good way of kind of doing things. When you start your own business, you kind of be flexible. You can set your own hours somewhat. You can work flexibly, and what that's meant for our business is that we are very focused on flexible working. So, we attract a lot of team members who are looking for that flexibility, who want to work from home either all the time or a couple of days a week, who want to work part-time, all that sort of thing. I think, having kids myself means that I kind of understand the need to be flexible from that perspective, and it helps us as a business. So, I don't really think too much about it. Certainly, being at work is less stressful than looking after the boys. So
that can be true. Very, very smart move.
Yeah. It's a good balance, I guess.
Okay. So I guess speaking of hungry babies, the startup just recently secured a very significant round, $4.2 million, and a large part of that was through a relationship with Gilbert Tobin, a prominent Australian law firm, and that's very tech forward and looking to new ways to innovate. Do you think that's a trend, big law coming into relationships with the startups that are disrupting the legal world, and do you see that kind of, how does that relationship really get leveraged for you and for them?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess, albeit if you look at big law generally, as discussed previously, you have the balance sheet issue. So, big law is never going to be investing hundreds of millions of dollars into legal tech startups because they're just not structured in that way. But having said that, in our particular case, there's certainly a lot of opportunity for us to work with Gilbert and Tobin on a number of different fronts. So the first one clearly is we service a lot of SME customers that G&T don't service. So there's opportunity for them to send clients our way that don't really fit within their particular model of doing business. But the bigger opportunity is on the enterprise side of things. So we now service a number of enterprise clients, so large corporates doing higher volume sort of work than, say, Gilbert and Tobin would do. We try and use technology as much as possible. And so there's a lot of opportunity with the Gilbert and Tobin sort of client base for us to assist those clients in ways that Gilbert and Tobin currently don't assist them. And thirdly, there's opportunities for us to build technology together. So G&T have a couple of developers in their team. We have 4 or 5 developers in our team now. There's really opportunities, a lot of opportunities for us to build products that will work for corporate clients. Everything from document automation sort of software, client portals. We've built a great trademarking tool that links in with Trademark Australia API. That's very popular with corporate clients. So there's opportunities to really kind of build technology, work together on that front, and I think there's a lot for us to learn from each other as well.
Sounds very promising, and I look forward to kind of seeing all the new technology coming out. Speaking of new technology, last week on the last episode, we had Andrew Aruda from Ross Intelligence, which has been talked about a lot as possibly replacing lawyers, but more likely to be a tool to assist lawyers. AI is playing a big role now in every service industry and is going to be a big part of the future. What role do you see it playing for LegalVision, if any, coming into your next stage of innovation?
Yeah, we're working on a number of fronts in that space. The focus for us is really on document review. So if you look at broadly what a law firm like us does, it's reviewing documents and drafting documents. We have a lot of document automation software which allows us to draft documents very efficiently. At the moment, we don't have an equivalent in the review space. So we see a real opportunity, in the, for instance, commercial leasing space to be reviewing commercial leases using artificial intelligence, using that as the preliminary step before one of our lawyers takes a look at the review. And we think there's a lot of efficiencies that can be gained in that space. So that's what we're working on. But having said that, I'm sure there's lots of other sort of opportunities that other businesses are looking to exploit in the space. And so it's really a matter of, it's very early stages, really a matter of finding out what works for your particular business, either buying that software or developing it yourself, and then really looking to monetize relatively quickly. I think there's no legal tech business out there that really has the runway to develop something for 3-4 years without monetizing. So our focus is always what can we monetize, how can we monetize it, how quickly can we monetize, and that's when we decide whether to invest or not.
And that seems, I guess, like a smart way to play. A lot of startups are looking to just raise from day one, but if you can get close to revenue earlier, I guess it gives you a bit of a luxury to then talk to investors on your terms and to also not dilute as much equity to be in the driving seat going forward.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it depends what you're doing. If you're building some sort of robotics that's going to take 10 years to kind of, be useful, then you have no choice. But in the legal tech space, at the end of the day, you need to make money. You need to be generating revenue because, quite frankly, no one's going to be interested in investing if you're not. So, it's really you got to think about that when you're planning on what you're going to spend your cash on.
Yep. Another frontier that is getting a lot of attention is machine learning tied into the AI. Smart contracts are also something that could really change the way both lawyers and clients interact, and also people interact with their contracts between APIs and automation, whether it be blockchain. Is that something that you guys are planning on working on, and how will that tie into, I guess, the future of what you see as how lawyers will interact with their clients?
Sure. So my view on the sort of blockchain side of things is it's more a development that will potentially affect larger corporates in the, for instance, swaps and derivative space, that sort of thing. I don't see it as, at this stage, being, everything that I've seen anyways, is not really at a stage where it's going to be useful to SMEs. So what a lot of people forget is that all this technology is great and so on and so forth, but 85% of small businesses out there are barely online at all. They're very much very much offline.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be entering into contracts using blockchain as some kind of way of ensuring that the contract is going to be upheld and so on and so forth. It's just not going to happen. So a lot of what we do is on the technology side, it's making our business more efficient internally, whilst offering to many customers what is on the face of it, not necessarily a tech solution. A lot of people want to pick up the phone rather than get on Skype. A lot of people want to meet face-to-face. We offer that if people want to do that. People want their printed copy of their contract sometimes. We do that. So it's very much thinking about what customers want, and then slowly over time, many of those customers will hopefully embrace technology. But again, important to remember that most small business owners, the majority of small business owners, are over 40. Not to say people are over 40 can't use technology.
I think they got Facebook.
But they haven't. That's right. They haven't necessarily grown up with a lot of this sort of technology that the younger team members here at LegalVision take for granted. So thinking about that and tailoring your solution to cater for all different types of customers is pretty important.
It's a bit like that Tarzan analogy where you're, I guess, holding one vine and then grabbing the next and then letting go of the other. So it seems like there's some crossover where, again, there's really nascent technologies that people are adopting and the early adopters kind of run with, but also you want to try and cater to the rest of the market, and that seems like the larger portion now, which will rapidly be kind of shifting across.
Yeah, sure. If you look at the Australian market as an example, we probably act for more startups in Australia than any other law firm. We do a lot of work with VCs. We do a lot of work with startups who are raising capital. But the size of that market is still quite limited. The much bigger opportunity, at least from a dollar perspective, is the broader small business community. And so, yes, you get your early adopters with the startups, but you really do have to work out how can you service the broader small, medium business community that isn't really necessarily looking for that kind of tech solution.
Yeah, well, it seems that the overarching problem is one that small to medium businesses and just consumers in general really have a tough time traditionally accessing legal services. So, in developed countries like the US, UK, even Canada and Australia, there's still up to 80% of the population that have a legal issue that really struggle to get legal services because of complexity, the cost, and even just the process of finding a lawyer. LegalVision seems to have hit that on the head in terms of providing a more accessible service. Going forward, how do you see that really busting open that access to justice gap and kind of offering legal services to those that currently can't get what they need?
Yeah, sure. Our approach is very much around education. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of customers who, quite frankly, have, I would say, are confused about the cost of legal services. So people want to hire a lawyer. People want a lawyer to do a whole lot of stuff for them, but they don't want to pay anywhere near what you need to pay. And the reason for that is lawyers have to be paid a certain amount of money by the law firm, and there's a cost to that. So the real question is, how can you reduce costs for those sort of people who want help but basically don't have the cash to pay what needs to be paid? And our view around that is education. So we have over 3,000 articles on our website about a whole range of things, from my air conditioner is broken. Do I need to pay for it to be repaired, or does my landlord need to pay for it to be repaired? That sort of stuff. And that sort of information often means that actually people don't necessarily need a lawyer. That's the sort of question that can be answered, with a good article or a good video. The other thing on the document side of things is, we started off selling online legal documents, customised legal documents. We now provide those for free. So if anyone wants a shareholders agreement and can't afford, sort of $1.5 to $2,000 to have it drafted by a lawyer, then they can download a free version on our website. Those businesses that are kind of relatively serious about their business, have big plans and so forth, they're always going to go and spend the money to have a lawyer who knows what they're doing do it. But those people who don't have that sort of cash can get a free document on our website, and we have hundreds of downloads a day of those documents, and it's something that to me that's providing access to legal services in a way which is very cost effective. It's free for the client, and it's much better than having nothing. Now, the hope obviously for us is that as those businesses are successful, some will be successful, some will fail. Those that are successful will eventually need a lawyer to assist them, and because they've used our documents to start with, they'll come back to us. So from a small, medium business perspective, I think we've kind of got that access sort of thing covered. There's a bit of education around, you can't hire a lawyer for $50, and that's never going to be the case. So if you're happy using technology instead, great. That's a solution we provide.
So you think there's a wider canvas of options on the table now that, again, the ones struggling to actually access it because of prohibitive costs, they can actually get a taste of either what they need or what they should be doing, and then decide whether it's something they really need to be spending money on. And also, as you mentioned, there's guys that are going to be IPOing, and hopefully they've been along with you for the ride, and you're familiar with their company and what they're doing, and they've got a good relationship that you can actually, I guess, leverage. So it seems like, slowly the gaps are getting filled, and there's more access to the small and medium businesses, as you said, and also just general consumers.
Yeah, sure. And look, in the business space, the question needs to be asked as well is, people are happy paying, $3,000 for a big flat screen TV, but they don't want to spend $1,000 to have a lawyer review their contract for them. At the end of the day, that's fine. It's an open market, so people need to make their choices. If you want a quality lawyer to assist you, yes, we can do it a lot cheaper than any other firm potentially, but there still is a cost to it, and that's kind of an education thing. We have our client care team, so our inside sales team, who are all legally trained. We'll speak to people for nothing, for free, to have a chat about what their needs are, to provide guidance and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, if people want to, have a lawyer review the work, if people want to, be backed by our professional indemnity insurance, then they have to pay us something. It's not. So that's the reality of the space. Are we going to see more margin compression in SME and indeed enterprise legal services? Potentially. The more technology we can deploy, the cheaper we can make our rates. But I think the actual real differentiator is going to be the technology. Is going to be the non-lawyers providing services, and that's technology. That's really document automation, all that sort of thing. And then people self-select as to what's going to work for them.
Well, it all sounds, I guess, exciting and promising for both what LegalVision's offering and also how you can help small and medium businesses going forward. So again, looking forward to kind of how that relationship evolves and how the technology evolves. We've got to probably let you get back to building the empire, but just before you go, a few parting shots that we'd like to ask on LegalMeets. Are you an Android, Windows and iOS guy? Android, okay. And apart from your phone, what bit of technology can't you live without?
Just the phone, to be frank. That's the only thing. Apart from that,
I guess
you can run everything. You can run the entire business office.
I was going to say it's turning that way, right? And also your clients are starting to, they live there as well. So, all right.
Yeah.
And we also like to get a little insight into the lives of successful and happy entrepreneurs. Is there a daily ritual or something just in general that keeps you sane that you kind of do every day that you can share with the listeners? Look,
not really. we have a pretty structured day, I guess, having 3 kids. So the weekday is pretty kind of similar, which maybe helps. The great thing I think about growing a business is it's gotten to the stage now where most of my job is kind of helping team leaders rather than necessarily doing the work, which is kind of what I like. And so that's been, I'd say doing the kind of the real beginning of the startup phase for a long period of time will be pretty hard. That's the thing that's kept me going, is that the business is constantly evolving, the role's constantly changing, keep bringing really good people on board who help grow the business, and so it's every day is different, every day is interesting, and that's the way you need to keep it, because if it's not, we should be doing something else, right?
Well, that sounds like a really great pathway, I guess. It seems like you took the leap initially as an entrepreneur, evolving from just being a corporate lawyer, and then you rolled up your sleeves and did the nitty gritty. And now, as your role in the company's evolved, it seems like you're really close to what your passion is. So it's really exciting to see everything kind of evolving.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Mate, we better let you get back to it. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Legal Meets, and hopefully we'll touch base in the future and see how everything's progressed.
Sounds good. Cheers.
See you, Lachlan. Bye.